G'day everyone. The good folks at Deye Inverter have sent me this new modular power system to test out in the workshop. The idea is to see whether it'll run all the heavy tools that I'd normally need to start the generator for. It's made up of two stackable 5 kilowatt hour lithium ion battery modules and a 10 kilowatt single phase pure sine wave inverter. So let's get it out of the boxes and put it all together. Yeah, that looks like a battery. Yeah, that'll be the base and the DC breaker, I think, in there. There's the feet that the base sits on. And the second battery there. Nice. It's got to be a certain distance from the walls so it gets good airflow around the inverter. 60 from that wall, between 10 and 35 from the back wall. Alright, that's all stacked together. Came together quite easily. They just sort of plug in as you lower them down. I had to lift each one on with the ute hoist because I've still got a broken back and I'm waiting for surgery, but usually I'd be able to lift those on by hand quite easily. Right, so we've got the base down the bottom here, the two batteries on top of that, and the PDU DC breaker sits on top of that top battery, and the inverter at the top there. So I just have to bolt everything together now. There's little holes here, and also there's a bracket that you bolt it to the wall as well. Oh, that's pretty solidly attached to the wall now. There's a bracket on either side. Let's have a look at the specs while we're up here. Ingress protection IP65, so you can actually mount it outside. Maximum PV input voltage 500 volts DC. This is the New Zealand Australia version, so it's 230 240 volt AC output. AC output rated power pretty much 10,000 watts. The peak output is pretty much 20,000 watts for 10 seconds, so she's pretty heavy duty. That might even run my bigger tools. Hope so. She starts up okay, so I'll just make sure that the batteries are set properly. Battery, I'll leave that alone for now. You can actually tie it to the grid so you can sell power back to the grid, but I won't be doing that because I'm nowhere near the grid, so I don't have to worry about all that side of it. But this is how you program all that. Smart devices. Use gen port. You can actually program the smart load to provide power when the battery gets to a certain level and then disconnect when it drops down to a certain level. So when your battery is full, you could have all the solar power directed to a hot water cylinder or something, which is handy. Alright, I've got 5 250 watt solar panels coming through the surge protector here. So if the panels get hit by lightning, it's going to go straight down to the earth rod, which is just outside the shed. Alright, we're getting 860 watts into the battery. Well, actually 812 going in, plus it's using a bit just having the inverter on. So let's fire it up and see how it powers the big workshop tools. So it's using 1700 watts to just running, but that compressor takes probably 4 or 5 kilowatt just to start up, so that's doing pretty well. None of my other inverters have ever been able to handle that. That's a good test for it. Easy. I've always had to run that compressor on the generator, which is a bit of a hassle when I'm sort of painting or doing sandblasting or things like that. I have to leave the generator going all the time. Alright, this will be the ultimate test for it. It's a 15-inch Polytech thicknesser. It's around about 2.5 horsepower, and it takes around 10 kilowatt to start this thing up. It's got to wind itself up and get the blades going and the feeders. I'll be impressed if it runs this. That didn't bog down at all with that 6-inch board. So I'll try a wider piece, which will just fit in there. Handled that with ease, and that would have probably burnt out my little inverter if I'd tried to do that. That's a piece of redwood, so that is quite impressive actually. It's good to know it will do that. Right, we'll see how it handles the 140 amp arc welder. This is another one of those tools that I've always had to start the generator for. I have tried welding with a high frequency inverter, but it just kept tripping out. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see if the new inverter runs this. I'll just weld a couple of pieces of steel together using a 2.5 mil rod and see how it handles that. Handled that no problems at all with a 2.5 mil rod at 114 amps. I actually had it at 120, but that was a bit high. It was just burning through the steel. That actually does a better job than when I'm welding using the generator. It's a cleaner weld. It seems to flow better. Well, after testing the system for a few weeks, I can't see any problems with it. It's handled all the heavy workshop tools with ease. All the things that I'd usually need to start the generator for. So if I'm spending half a day sandblasting, spray painting or doing a welding project, it would be nice not to have to listen to the generator in the background. The other thing I like about it is the flexibility it's added. My original hydro system is still going strong after 21 years. But if I ever have a blocked intake or broken pipe or need to work on the turbine, I've wired up a switch to the cabin switchboard, so I can just flick a switch and run the cabin from the system while I sort the turbine out. Given my back injury, not having to rush straight down the hill to restore the power is a huge benefit. At this stage I've only got 5 solar panels connected to it, but there's plenty of scope to expand the system in the future if I need to. I think it can handle up to 16,000 watts DC all up, so it's a setup that can grow with my needs. They've also sent me a 3-phase inverter, so I can take this single phase off and put the other inverter on top. But I don't actually have any 3-phase tools, so I can't test that at the moment. But if anyone in Nelson Marlborough has any old 3-phase tools lying around that they want to get rid of, let me know in the comments and then we'll give them a whirl on this thing. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you next time.